Madam Speaker, I move that we resume with the privilege hour.
Please proceed.
Madam Speaker, I move that we recognize the Honorable Sharon Garin of Party List AAMBIS-Owa.
The Honorable Sharon Garin is recognized for her privileged speech.
Magandang gabi sa mga kagalang-galang ng mga pinuno ng mababang kapulungan at sa lahat ng mga matatag na pinuno ng bawat distrito at sektor. Among the Filipino terms used for the word leader, that which encapsulates it the most is the word pinuno, which is a derivative of the word puno. Accordingly, the word puno is our term for our trees. Puno or trees dot our geographic landscape, which do not only serve ecological purposes, but also economic functions, as they support some of our more important industries. Foremost of which is the coconut tree, branded by most as the tree of life. 341 million coconut trees prop up the Philippine coconut industry, which is existent in 69 out of 79 provinces, or almost 90% of all the provinces in the Philippines. You are probably wondering why I am talking about coconut trees as I humbly stand before you today. Tayo, bilang mga matatag na puno o pinuno na kumakatawan sa ating mga distrito at sektor, ay may responsibilidad na tulungan ang industriya ng niyog kung saan mahigit 24 na milyong Pilipino ang umaasa at nakikinabang mula sa mga trabahador, kanilang mga pamilya, at iba pang mga kalahok sa industriya. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, and my esteemed colleagues, it is high time that we give voice to and stand up for the coconut farmers in the Philippines, who have long been suffering due to the dismal plight of the coconut industry. The total coconut area in the country is 3.4 million hectares, which corresponds to roughly 1/3 of the country's arable agricultural land. That is higher than those of rice and corn. The average coconut farm is 2.4 hectares, again bigger than those of rice and corn. As our #1 agricultural export, coconuts account for nearly half of our total agricultural exports, with earnings amounting to roughly over $1 billion per year. Lamentably, however, the abundance of the resources is inversely related to the state of the coconut industry and of the coconut farmers. It seems that what is traditionally known as the tree of life has practically become a tree of despair for the 3.5 million coconut farmers throughout the Philippines. If the coconut farmers are the essential bedrock of the industry, then their dismal condition reflects the state of the industry they belong to. Dearth in opportunities and income vastly incongruous to the tree of life that they cultivate. Unfortunately, coconut has the lowest farm value per hectare among crops. Depending on the crop yield and prices, an average coconut farmer would only earn around 15,000 pesos per hectare per year. Consequently, with a coconut farm of 2.4 hectares, a coconut farmer would only earn 36,000 pesos per year. This translates to a monthly income of 3,000 pesos, meaning that the coconut farmers and their families are surviving on a budget of 20 pesos per person per day. The alarming fact is that the areas which are highly coconut dependent tend to have the highest poverty incidence in the country. Highly coconut dependent regions such as ARM, Caraga, Regions 4B, Bicol, Eastern Visayas, and Zamboanga Peninsula have the highest poverty incidence in the country. Based on official poverty statistics, ARM has the highest at 55.3%, Caraga 45.5%, Region 4B 55.3%, no, Region 4B at 43.7%, Bicol at 41.8%, and Eastern Visayas at 40.7%. Rounding up the top 6 regions with the highest poverty incidence is Zamboanga Peninsula at 40.2%. These statistics only highlight the gravity and exigencies of the state of the coconut industry. In good conscience, we can no longer and should no longer ignore the fact that the coconut industry is besieged by problems which do not only drag the industry down the drain, but also the overall economic performance of the country. The problems are simple and also complex, ranging from decreasing production due to senile trees, illegal logging, poor fertilization, monocropping, and too much focus on copra, to the equally aggravating weak institutional, policy, technical, and financial support from the government. Today, around 30% of our coconut trees are already senile, or 60 years old. They are slowly dying and only producing 1/2 of the number of nuts compared to that of the younger trees. Although I am not implying that our 60-year-old colleagues here are slowly dying as well, but this is a problem of the industry where only the senile trees are only producing 40 nuts per year, and the healthy ones are producing 90 nuts per year. Illegal logging of coconut trees also aggravate the already low productions. Fertilizers, which would augment production by 30%, are also financially unavailable. Training and education, as components of capacity building, are also lacking in the coconut industry. As a result, 70% of our farmers solely and only tend and harvest coconuts in their farms, when in fact coconut farms have great potential for intercropping. The vast area under the coconut canopy can and should be utilized to plant other crops like corn, cacao, bananas, lanzones, abaca, and it can even be used for livestock grazing. Furthermore, a variety of high-value products can be derived from coconut other than copra, such as sugar, virgin coconut oil, coir, fiber, peat, charcoal. But most coconut farmers only sell copra. Due to this, our coconut farmers, who are mostly into copra production, of which 80% are exported, are dependent on and trapped in the volatile and competitive international market of commodity oil. All this, exacerbated by inadequate government support, have sent the coconut industry spiraling downwards. To save the coconut industry, we must act now and act decisively. We have stagnated for 20 years waiting for the controversial release of the 200 billion coconut levy funds. Must we keep waiting and only wait for the said release and not act while the Philippine coconut industry is sliding down into a flop of ruins? Reforms in policies and allocations must sweep the government from top to bottom at the soonest possible time, with or without the resolution of the coconut levy funds. Part and parcel of the improvement of the coconut industry is the improvement in institutional infrastructure. The primary government institution at the helm of the coconut industry is the Philippine Coconut Authority, or PCA. PCA has a yearly subsidy of around 500 million pesos per year, equivalent to a mere 1.5% of the total budget of the Department of Agriculture. A mere 1.5% allocation for the biggest agricultural industry of the country. A budget hardly enough to cover yearly salaries of PCA personnel and field workers. Hence, a budget that does not include nor foresee projects, programs, and research and development activities for the coconut industry. For 20 years, since soya oil producers employed an international smear campaign on the health and medicinal benefits of coconut oil, our country, which is the biggest supplier of coconut oil in the world, has failed to fund scientific and medicinal researches to disprove the allegations. Until today, what we hear about the benefits and potency of coconut oil are mere hearsay and anecdotal. The PCA's budget is therefore the blueprint for its fiscal architecture. I thus ask the present Department of Agriculture to heed calls to pour funds into the coconut industry, commensurate to the warranted solutions to its predicament. Moreover, I ask the Department of Agriculture for more policy interventions on the coconut industry. As it crafts its roadmap and framework for the next few years, it is my fervent hope that the coconut industry will be propelled to the forefront of their priorities. We live in a world seemingly afflicted by apathy and divisiveness. But now, my esteemed colleagues, more than ever, what we need is solidarity. The kind of solidarity that is not a mere fleeting offer of sympathies to the plight of our coconut farmers, nor momentary display of a brave front. Rather, a kind of solidarity that is a conscious and unbreakable commitment of people, especially of leaders, to band together for a good purpose. In this case, to band together for the cause of the coconut industry and especially for our coconut farmers. Hence, I enjoin all my colleagues, especially those with constituencies which are coconut dependent from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, to unite for the cause of the coconut industry and our coconut farmers. Bilang mga matatag na puno o pinuno, sana ay magkaisa tayo sa diwa at aksyon sa pagtulong sa industriya upang mapayabong ang buhay ng mga magsasaka ng niyog. Let us form a coconut bloc in Congress, pushing forward the advocacies and concerns of the coconut industry and all the 24 million Filipinos who rely on it. Let us say to the coconut farmers that we are one with them in their legitimate desire to reform the coconut industry, that we are one with them in their clamor for more support from the government, and that we are one with them in their aspiration to bestow a bright and stable future to their families. And as we enjoin other national and local leaders to join this cause, these seeds of commitment and action will grow and thrive, hopefully raising the Philippine coconut industry from the quagmire where it is deeply entrenched now. Our coconut farmers have long endured neglect and poverty. It is but judicious and fitting that we make the tree of life once again a tree of hope for all the Filipino coconut farmers and their families. Mayong gabi, kagdamogid nga salamat sa inyo tanan.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker,
The Honorable Fuwa is recognized.
may I be recognized to interpolate the lady?